Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talking Business with Danny Pardo. Just wanted to say thank you to our new subscribers, new viewers, and new listeners. If you haven't done so already, please do take a moment to like, share, rate, review, subscribe, and all those good things with regards to this podcast. It all helps other people to find it too. And in today's episode, I'm chatting to David Akosim, who works for the NFL here in the UK. And we're going to be talking about the work he does with regards to social media and equality, diversity, and inclusion at his organisation. So here we go. Let's talk business with David. Hello everyone, and welcome to Talking Business with me, Danny Pardo. We are chatting with David today. Hello, David. How you doing?
Hi, Danny. I am all good.
Super. Well, thank you very much for joining me. Really appreciate it. We are talking all things kind of NFL, social media, equality, diversity, and inclusion on this episode here, because that's a little bit about what you do. No too many spoilers there. But before we go too far, I suppose we need to find out who you are. So, David, who are you?
I have never been asked this question before, Danny. That is that's a hard question to answer. First of all, I am David. I would say I'm a career-wise, probably a content specialist. Throughout my career, I've produced many pieces of content in many different forms of media, whether it's radio, TV, social media. But I guess away from career and work life, I am just a 29-year-old, dual nationality, born in Nigeria, came to the UK when I was like 2-3 years old, and I lived in South East London ever since.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. Well, for the first time ever answering that question, I think that pretty much sums up, the last 29 years in about 30 seconds. That's impressive. So let's get into your career journey then. So you're 29 now. Let's head back to about 13 years ago when you're, say, 16, finishing up those GCSEs. Did you think that, okay, when I'm 29, I'm going to have produced some music, I'm going to be a social media coordinator, I'm going to be focusing on equality, diversity, and inclusion. That's what I'm going to be doing in 13 years' time? Or were plans when you were 16 not even in place, or were they different?
I certainly did not expect to have done all those things, but I did have a very clear career plan. And probably from since I was probably 12, 13 years old, I always wanted to get into journalism. That was my thing. And I wanted to be in the media in some form, and particularly do sports journalism. So yeah, from the age of probably 13 to 20, that was my clear career goal. That was what I knew I wanted to do. So I was quite lucky in a sense that because I had a clear plan of what I wanted to do, things like work experience, things like A levels to take, degrees to take, then what to do at university outside my degree, I kind of already knew, because I'll be researching those things again when I was in year 9, 10, 11.
Oh, wow. So that's great that you had like that clear vision of where you wanted to go. And that was able then to inform your choices. So nice one on that. And when it comes to your college then, so what did you choose at college? Were you an A-level kind of guy, or did you do vocational courses? Or?
Yeah, so in college, I did English, politics, geography, and Italian. I always knew I was probably going to do English at university because, again, when you research journalism, they always say do English or media degree. And then geography and Italian were probably my two favorite subjects at GCSE. And then politics was the wild card. I just thought, you know what? I know absolutely nothing about politics. Let me pick it and see if I enjoy it or not.
That classic fourth A level, I know that feeling well, and I know that students know that feeling well, where they see the three and they go, I thought I'd done it, but you just got to get that fourth one in. So when it comes to English then, and that's what you studied at university, is that right? Looking at your LinkedIn there, having a sneaky peek, but I did, as most people do. What degree did you study then for English at university?
So I did it at Nottingham University of Nottingham. So their English degree is different to most. They call it English studies. So it's English lit, English lang, linguistics, and medieval studies, and drama. So you kind of study all disciplines of English in the degree. Okay. And then in year 2 and 3, you can then decide which modules and which, I guess, subgenres of English you can specialize in.
Yeah, that's a lot more varied than the traditional I'm going to
Mhm.
do English, isn't it? That's interesting. So was university right for you? Was that the right choice, do you feel, looking back now?
University was right for me because for two reasons. One, the social aspect I think is incredibly important, and
Mm.
to meet different people from different walks of life to me was probably the number one thing I enjoyed most out of university. And two, that's where I did student radio, and that's where I actually got my work experience and honed in the craft of producing actual content. So when I say about starting my career, funny enough, I probably started it at university, doing student radio. On the other hand, I will probably be honest and say I stopped enjoying studying midway through the first year. And I
Oh yeah.
kind of knew actually, I think my I think my enjoyment of just again studying, reading, had kind of left after A levels. And it was a very much a hard slog getting through that degree in year 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think I speak to many people, and you either go in two ways. You either find out you actually really enjoy studying and maybe do a master's or really love the degree, or they're kind of like me where you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. And it's actually the wider parts of university that really you start to enjoy a lot more.
Yeah, and that's interesting you say that, because I often ask students, do you want, when they're making these decisions from going from college to university or employment apprenticeships, do you want to study? Do you want to sit in classrooms again? Do you want to sit in lecture halls? And some of them just go no. And then you think, well, why are you going then? If that's, you can still learn about your subject, there's just maybe other ways. So, I mean, you've mentioned work experience a couple of times now. Were you, before the student radio that you were doing at university, were you doing other work experiences? Were you always getting paid for them? Because there's a lot of students think that, I say a lot of students, some of the students I've spoke to, let me phrase that a bit better, think that, oh, I'm not working for free, I'm not doing volunteer work. Were you doing paid work experience, or were you just getting anything you could from, say, like year 9 onwards?
No, anything I could. So there was, I can't remember the name of this magazine, that's really bad, but there was like a 13 to 18-year-old magazine, and people of that age could write for that magazine. So every now and again, I would submit articles for that magazine and it get published. I did that for like 2 years. And during the normal work experience periods in, I say year 10, and I believe first year of college, I did stuff like gone to Channel 4 for 1 week and just shadowing someone there. I went to Channel 5 1 week ago and did the exact same thing. So trying to get any experience here and there that I could during those 3 4 years was really valuable.
So how was that useful to you then, going back? I mean, we're talking magazines, we're talking media, we're talking the industry that you want to be in.
Mhm.
How important was actually doing those unpaid work experiences during that time then, just to kind of think, is this what I want to do? Am I learning skills? Am I meeting? I mean, you're even networking back then, I guess.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. It's You're not ever going to be doing anything important at that age doing this work experience. Like they're not going to give you any tasks that are particularly meaningful. But the great thing is that you can see the actual role within the industry. So you learn, okay, there's a publicist and there's a producer, but then there's a copywriter. And so you begin to understand the industry a lot more. You begin to know, okay, if this is really for you or not. And then the third thing is networking. Those contacts become invaluable. And it's certainly true what everyone says in the media world. It's big, but people get around. And so actually something that you meet 1 year, in 10 years' time, there can be a valuable contact in another way.
I kind of goes back to what we were saying before we went on air, wasn't it? But I've spoke to Jay and Kat from Imagine Insights. I mean, you know those as well. And before you know it, you're in this little kind of circle of people, aren't you? So let's get into your work then for the NFL. Social media coordinator, is that right? Have I got that job title right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a team, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so there's a social media team of around 3 4 of us.
Yeah.
Me, a digital and social media manager and head of content for NFL UK, right, and another freelancer as well during the regular season. So right, yeah, team of 4. It used to be just a team of 2, and that team has grown the last 3 4 years. And I guess our main aim is to grow our audience in the UK. Yeah. And we oversee the NFL UK social channels. So that is NFL UK, Instagram, Twitter, and also contribute toward the NFL Global Facebook channel.
Yeah, and I think it's just starting to become obvious to quite a few students I speak to that you can actually work in social media. You know, you would look at the NFL or a lot of businesses and think, oh, somebody's just getting paid there to sit there and type messages and take a nice picture or anything like that. And you're talking about a proper coordinated team of people who have to really carefully think about what you put out there. I mean, as that team grows then and what you've been looking at the importance of social media then, if we talk about kind of Gen Z for 16 to 26 or 25-year-olds, how important then is your role in social media with regards to that, and you and the team there? How important is what you're doing to kind of keep the current fans, attract new fans, and grow that business? How important are you and your team?
I mean, I guess I play quite an important role in specifically trying to reach that 18 to 24-year-old audience. And we know that Gen Z are mobile first. And so when they want to find out new things, they go on social and digital channels. So if we're to really grow our audience amongst that demographic, we need to be in those spaces. We can't expect them to come to us. And then that's where the different layers of my role comes in, because you then go, okay, what other social media platforms should we be living in? So we've just launched our NFL Academy TikTok channel, knowing that, all right, if you really want to grow audiences amongst that Gen Z demographic, need to be a TikTok, because that's a predominantly youth-led channel. And then also it's stuff like, what influencers and content creators should we be working with? Because yes, we've got our own NFL UK social channels. However, we should also be making sure that our content and NFL content, American football content, is living in famous influencers channels or famous content creators channels, those content creators who have a large audience amongst that demographic. So we've got our own influencer strategy, where we give clips to influencers, do specific original content for influencers, and that way we're broadening our reach when it comes to NFL content on social media platforms.
Yeah, because the NFL is not a small brand, is it? It's a prestigious global major sport brand. You know, as a fan myself, you know, I've seen it evolve in the UK over the last few decades as I show my age here. And it can't be seen as being amateurish or unprofessional. You know, the things you do on social media have got to really represent that brand, haven't they? And it's fascinating to watch it grow. And, you know, when you talk about TikTok, well, there's your audience, isn't it? For Gen Z, you know, I probably wouldn't see, well, I definitely wouldn't see those, but the youngsters on the Gen Z would. And I think there's also a perception then that within work, you do one job and then that's what you do, but that's not the case with you. Is it? Looking at, you know, your profile on LinkedIn and brief chats we've had, you champion equality, diversity and inclusion. I say the word champion loosely because of what you actually do. So as well as working in social media, what else are you doing then with regards to the NFL and ADI programs?
So yeah, I am currently the co-chair of our international D&I committee. So NFL, of course, it's an American sport, but they're trying to grow their fan base across the whole world. So we've got offices in the UK, China, Canada, and Mexico. And so we've got all these offices. And so what I do is I co-chair a group of 9 of us, a representative from each office, to try and come up with D&I initiatives that help not only empower minority voices, but brings our offices together. I think the word D&I gets branded about a lot, but D&I means different things for different people, for different companies. And so when you think about having a global company like the NFL, that's where the inclusion aspect comes really important, because sometimes we can be quite disconnected with what happens in New York. So we're doing initiatives that make sure that, again, if you are a worker in Mexico, you are getting the same benefits, you're learning the same things as someone in New York will be getting. And then on the other side, the diversity aspect of it, the sports industry is not great for diversity when it comes to both gender and ethnic minorities. So we try to create more initiatives that diversifies our talent pipeline. So that is particular internships where we try and onboard diverse groups. That could be competitions and hackathons with universities to try and show them the different careers in the sports industry. So very much D&I across all our international markets is really important. And again, it's trying to connect all our markets together, but also trying to diversify our talent pipelines.
Yeah, the inclusion thing that you mentioned there, that's really interesting because obviously you are a global business, but again, just being a global business is something that's bandied about a lot, especially with remote working and things nowadays, and having that connection between employees across the world and working towards that common goal and sharing the same values is not easy, is it? It can be very
Not at
challenging.
all. Not at all. And it's because, like, again, in China, what diversity is completely different to what diversity is in the UK and Canada. So it's trying to understand the cultures within each market and try to then to have not only initiatives that we can all collaborate on, but also initiatives that work for specifically China or specifically Mexico, those more homogenous countries.
Yeah. And if you don't mind me asking a big question about this here, then why are you doing that? Can't you just do your normal job and like earn some money and go home? You know, why would you take on the extra responsibility of doing something like that?
Danny, that is a very, very good question.
Yeah.
I guess because it might sound really cliche, but it's the right thing to do. And in order for this industry, and I say this industry, I mean both media and sports, in order for us to really grow, we need to empower minority voices. And that in itself should be as important as your day job. Because again, if we're not empowering minority voices, then we are the root of the problem. And it's really important that we all take our own onus and responsibilities to try and empower minorities, empower minority voices to champion others. Because if we don't do it, who else is going to do it? We can't sit here and complain about, oh, why is there only one female or no minorities in our boardrooms? Well, if we start doing the work now, then that will come better. If we become more of a diverse unit, have more diverse staff members, showcase more diversity, that will only better the industry, both sports industry and media industry. So yes, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of voluntary work. However, the work that we're doing right now will only better the sport industry and media industry going forward.
Yeah, and that's what you're all about, isn't it? Bettering that industry for the people inside it, for the people outside of it, and really representing all the different people and cultures that you're, one, trying to attract as customers, but two, as staff members and give back to communities and things as well. Have you had any kind of major challenges with regards to that, or should I say, are you seeing many things in the media where you think, well, we really need to keep doing this, or any kind of problems or sticking points? And what are you seeing maybe other organizations do as well?
When it comes to major sticking points, it's just, I guess there's two things. It's making sure that whatever we do, we get buy-in from senior leadership, because you're not going to make much change unless senior leaders are on board. And that's where we're quite lucky with the NFL, that actually a lot of our senior leaders have been championing the work that we are doing. I think just in general and across the sports industry, it's making sure that you might get on social media, oh, why are you posting about this? Or you might get people saying, why are you taking a knee? It's making sure you don't let those voices dictate your actions, because they're just a loud minority. And you might get criticism for doing a post about LGBTQ plus community. However, you must know that that's still the right thing to do. Unfortunately, from what I've been seeing, I can't give you a reason why this is. You do get sometimes within the sports fan base a bit more backlash when you post more about diversity things, especially when you compare it to, let's say, music or entertainment. It seems like sports fans are a lot more slower to get on board with these things than other industries, which is a shame. But it's just, so it's that internal thing of knowing, okay, you might get backlash for posting about this, but it's knowing that it's the right thing to do. And again, you might get a very vocal minority, but it's going to be thousands of people who will be watching your content, seeing your content, and be like, you know what, that's great. I want to know more about that sport because they champion ABC, etc. I think that's the biggest challenge, just making sure that no matter what comes at your way via social media, just know that it's the right thing to do and keep championing it.
Yeah, and the vocal minority really is amplified, isn't it, with social media? It only takes a few, literally a few people, then all of a sudden 10,000 retweets later, and it's a major news headline, isn't it? And
Exactly.
that's fascinating to watch as a fan myself of American football more than say English football and events this year. But certainly you can see it kind of start to build, can't you, about vocal minority, and you think that can't be everyone. Surely not everyone's thinking like that, and it's not cliche. You know, you said the right thing to do for the students if they're constantly told that, maybe, and then they hear people like you saying, go, oh, maybe it is the right thing to do then, you know. And it resonates a bit more, doesn't it, with them? Well, hopefully it will do. And thank you for sharing those ideas. So I mean, flying back then into social media, I think a lot of people think that social media is very easy to put out there and certainly cheap. I know when we've done marketing campaigns and things like that in class, social media is always one that students choose, and then they go, oh, because it's free. And I'm going to guess you're not working voluntarily, but I don't know how that would pay your rent there in London or your train ticket this morning. So why is there this perception then that social media is free and easy, but you've got a team of people getting paid to do it? I mean, how does that link up?
Because it's easily accessible. So, Danny, you can jump on Twitter, post a tweet, or you can jump on Instagram, post a picture, or do a TikTok video, and it can take you 1 minute to do. And so, to some on the other side, it's like, oh, if you work in social media, all you're doing is posting a tweet here and there, or posting a picture on Instagram. That's easy. That's an easy role. However, when you start to delve into it a lot more, it's things like, okay, what is the strategy of the social channel? Who are you trying to reach? Who's the demographic you're trying to reach? Okay, once you know that, what's your content? You then got to create assets, create graphics, create videos. And then you go to Photoshop and the skills of learning Photoshop and the skills of video editing in Premiere Pro or Audacity or etc. Then once you create the content, it's all right, what's the copy? Copywriting is one of the hardest things to ever master in this industry. And I tell that to everyone. Having a tone of voice in your social channel is so important, but getting that tone of voice right is very difficult as well.
Because on social media, you've got a very short space, haven't you? You're dealing with very short attention spans, and you've got a very short space to write anything, and also you're representing a massive global brand in what, 100 words, 50 words, maybe, you know? Exactly.
And it's competition. Like, you are competing for attention in a very busy timeline. So people are scrolling. If we don't get their attention, they're going to keep scrolling. And so it's, how are you going to articulate yourself and write that copy where you get people's attention, yet it's still on brand, yet it's still accompanied with great assets. And that whole total package is very difficult to get right and can be quite time consuming. And then that's just one post. So then you've got to then fill out a schedule for the whole week and then the whole month. And there's paid social. And then it's how do you then connect what you're doing with a website strategy or email strategy. And I think that is pretty much the social and digital ecosystem.
Yeah.
So it might seem quite easy, but actually when you take a step back and analyze the whole ecosystem, there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, and then you throw into that as well that you've got the London Games returning, and you've got tens of thousands of people, well, more than that actually, who want tickets, who want information, and you're trying to kind of liaise with all those. So I can't even imagine how, you know, what's the kind of pressures and deadlines and things you're working to at the moment as we get back to like London Games.
Yeah, so to anyone listening, me and Danny agreed to do this at 8 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. And Danny doesn't know this, but the reason why I said that is because at 10 o'clock, our tickets, our general sale for the London Games are going live. So all the teams coming in early today to brace ourselves and get ready for that ticket general sale.
You said brace yourselves there. I mean, what's it going to be like down there?
This is the most chaotic day in the NFL UK calendar because we have around 40 to 50,000 people in the UK all going on one website all at the same time. And if you've ever bought a ticket to a festival or concert, whatever, you know that is a recipe for not disaster, but chaos.
Yes.
And so if people are going to struggle to get on, they're going to get the red ring of death. They're going to just complain. And then when they do that, they go to our social channels and vent. So for a few days in the year, I become a customer service assistant on our social media channels. So the main aim of our team today is to look at all our mentions and help anyone who's struggling to get onto the website and buy tickets. So again, it's that whole thing of, all right, on one day you could be creating copy, another day you could be going on a shoot and recording a video for the London Games. But like a day like today, I then got to be a customer service assistant and then react to everyone's issues that they're having going on and buying their tickets. It's like me working in Sainsbury's back again, just having been very polite, being very patient. It's going to be a long day, but again, it's one of the many different hats you got to wear when you're working in social media.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, none of this 9 to 5, same day, every day is the same day for you over there, is it? Good grief, that's going to be a fun. I feel, I don't know if I feel elated that you gave time up for me then to chat, or kind of awful that I'm taking up your morning. I mean, you're going to need some coffee and things in a minute. A couple of questions then as we roll towards kind of a 30-minute mark here. So what's next for the NFL in terms of like their social media and their radio? I mean, social media, you mentioned getting into TikTok for the NFL Academy. What's coming next? Do you have many things in the pipeline, or are you growing with as markets and products come out? Or?
Yes, I'll say we're growing our ecosystem in two ways. We're going to be more present in more platforms. So I mentioned TikTok. We're going to be doing a lot more on YouTube and Twitch as well. So again, YouTube is not a youth-led platform, but there's a lot of young demographics in on YouTube. So we're going to try to do a lot more there. We're going to try to work with a lot more content creators on Twitch. And again, just broaden our reach across different platforms. And then on the other side to that, we're going to try and do a lot more internationally. So we're going to be having our games in Germany next year. So it's doing more on our German channels. We're going to be launching stuff like NFL Africa soon as well. So there's a lot of different territories that we're going to be doing a lot more in the future. And there's a lot more platforms going to be a lot more in the future. So basically growing in any and every possible way.
Brilliant. NFL Africa are not two terms that I've heard kind of put together very often. That sounds really exciting. So, I mean, you're already global, and now you're going even further and offering that product and service to a much wider range. That's really exciting. Can't wait to see what you come up with for that then. And for yourself then, I mean, what's next for you? I mean, obviously discounting the next few hours and you know, sleeping well tonight, I have no doubt. What's next for you with regards to the NFL internally there, or you're producing your record? Do you have a record label or something, or did you used to?
Yes, I do. So on the side, I also have a record label where we release garage, grime, bass music. So yeah, that kind of stemmed from my university days, just being a lover of all forms of bass music. Again, whether it's drum and bass, garage, jungle, etc. And then me and my friend just thought, you know what, let's try and have our own label. So on the side, with whatever free time I do have, I'm also working on that. But I think career-wise, probably much of the same. So maybe doing a lot more stuff with content creators, a lot more stuff with brands, a lot more partnerships. I think doing a lot more of that stuff, but also I'm really keen on forging a career where I help create content that empowers minority voices. I think that is what I'm really passionate about, and it's working with different brands, different talent, different content creators to create that content that empowers minority voices, and that can be within sports, gaming, entertainment, music, or an intersection of all four.
Yeah. That's a very noble career path, and thank you for doing it. You know, to make a difference to a lot of people, and a lot of my students who'll be watching this, and other students in the audience as well, thinking, "Wow, you know, change is coming," and they get to be a part of it as well because of people like you trailblazing the way through it. And your record label as well sounds really exciting, and I don't know how you're fitting in all of that, but you know, well done to you for doing it. And I'm just going to throw one last question at you about you. And if that's all right, we're going to, I haven't told you this one, although if you watch my interview with Anthea, you already know what's coming. But hey, I'm going to do it anyway. So going back to 17, 18-year-olds, when you were that age, David, and if you could give yourself a bit of advice that you wish you took on, listened to, and carried through as a mantra, what would that advice have been for 18-year-old David?
do what you enjoy. And I go back to my university time, and I did English because I thought it was what I needed to do to get into journalism. However, if I did what I enjoyed, I would not have chosen English at that stage. You might think, oh, I have to do this career because my parents think that's right for me, or I want to make this amount of money, so I want to do this career, or I think this is a career that people will respect, so I'm going to do that. No, just do what you enjoy. And if you do what you enjoy, you will enjoy the journey a lot more. And so that is the number one thing. Do what you enjoy at every point of your life. Because it goes quick. The 20s go quick. And I'm in my last year in my 20s, and I tell you, these last 9 years have flown by. So yeah, always do what you enjoy, because you would get more enjoyment out of it, and you would get more out of it.
Yeah. And it is quite a journey, isn't it? This career and this social life and things that we go on, and finding the right balances between them. And again, it's not cliche once you hear enough people say it. You know, that's absolutely brilliant to hear. And thank you for that advice, and thank you for everything else. You know, taking the time to chat on this ridiculously busy day for you. I really do appreciate it.
No, it's all good. I mean, I think I like doing this because, one, it gets my mind out of what's to come in 2 hours' time. And two, it's always good to help the next generation of people coming through. So no, certainly, thank you, Danny, for inviting me.
Well, thank you. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to keep you on for another 90 minutes so you can get out of all the mayhem. You got to get back to work. So I'm terribly sorry. But thank you so much. And stay on the line for just a moment. We'll say a quick goodbye after this. But for now, David, I just want to say thanks so much for sharing your insights and your ideas here today. And thanks for talking business, and a cheerio.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. As you know, I will take any opportunity to talk football with anyone, but hearing your unique insights and views and what you do is really enlightening to me, and hopefully all our viewers and our listeners too. So, David, thank you very much. And to all our viewers and listeners, thank you very much as well. Please like, share, rate, review, subscribe, and make sure as many people can find out about these insights as well. And until next time, cheerio.